Hello guys, we are back on Farming Simulator 19 on the Goldcrest Valley map here on from Farming Simulator 17. So if you don't remember, here we are playing Goldcrest Valley. Any of you who played FS17 should remember this map, but this is the remake of it for FS19 and we are playing FS19. Now, in between what would be streams, I got a lot done. So all the trees are cut down. I actually started mowing. I recorded it initially, decided that I didn't really like the recording. So this is about how far, well, this is how far I had gotten in the recording on the mowing and baling, obviously. So that's where we're at. Trying to finish up this mowing and baling, because once I get this done, I can wrap up these bales and sell them off as silage, and they should be worth, I'm hoping, a good bit of money. We really kind of need to make a good amount of money. We did make a decent amount from the wood chips. If I jump here into the finance screen, we sold our straw bales in like the second stream for about $2,700, but then we sold all those wood chips and the final tally came to just over $11,000 for all those wood chips, so that was a good deal. Definitely covered the cost of, well, more than covered the cost of leasing the equipment to do the wood chipping, and now we are just doing this baling on this ground that we opened up. So, and that should bring us, I'm hoping, even more money, because we're down to about $27,000. We started this kind of playthrough, I suppose, with $100,000. You know, all the equipment that we have, plus, well, we didn't have the baler. We ended up buying the baler, but plus $100,000. So we have gone through a good chunk of our money so far, and you know, the farm is kind of at that state, you know, where you start in Farming Simulator where you just don't have a lot of money coming in. Oh, and our fields are starting to grow. Wonderful. That's a good thing. We need our fields to grow to make money, but we also need to get our fields fertilized before they grow too much, and all three of them have grown. So, oh wait, no. How is this one not grown? This was the first one planted. Oh, it has. Okay, you just couldn't see it from very far away. Got it. Alright, so they have all grown. So we most definitely need to get them fertilized. Luckily, I think because we are on easy, there's only 2 stages of fertilization to worry about. So we can get that done easily before the crops have fully grown. But we do not, well, I'll have to, I think the Fiat, we can put care wheels on, so we can set that up to have the tires on it that won't destroy the crop. For when we should be able to drive on the crop in this stage without destroying it with any tires, but as it grows again and we have to fertilize it again, then we'll need the care wheels. We also need a sprayer or fertilizer spreader of some sort, which is going to cost us even more money. So yeah, there's a lot to do. I was thinking we would get around to some contracting at some point, but that hasn't happened. And I'm getting really tired of this mower baler setup. I thought, I don't ever remember this working so poorly like this and missing so much of the grass off the side. But I've never done this that much. So maybe I just don't know much about how it normally works, I don't know. It's quite annoying to have to go back over pretty much everywhere you've gone again. That was kind of the whole purpose of setting up this mower baler setup, was so that I could just go over it once. But because of the way the mower is putting grass down on the side, way too far out to the side, the baler just can't pick it up, and I'm having to go back over everything anyway. I mean, I'm kind of to the point where I'm just not going to go over it again and pick all that up. It's not, I mean, all of it would probably accumulate to another bale or two maybe, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth the headache. So this is this around this field, and then the little rectangular patch of land where we cut one of the trees out. That is the last bits that need to be done. And then I guess we're gonna go figure out. Well, then we have to wrap them all. Actually, before we even get into wrapping, I think we probably should do fertilization, because I don't want these to go through another growth stage without me having fertilized them. So we'll do that first. But we're gonna be, I don't know what we're gonna do. We only have $27,000. A fertilizer sprayer, probably what I will do. Either sprayer or spreader, I'm not sure, but either way we don't have a whole lot of money, so we'll have to look and see what is most affordable. I prefer sprayers, honestly. Even the cheapest sprayers in the game have pretty good working widths, and it doesn't matter what you do, it just misses. And I kind of was thinking we wouldn't make it too far up here. Yeah. So we own that field, but we do not necessarily own the grass around the field. So we're only able to mow a certain portion of it, which is fine. Just gonna mow what I can and move on. This is I remember from FS17. This was one of the I wouldn't call it cheaty. I mean, it was part of the game, but one of the ways that you could make money relatively easy early in the game was to basically go around the map doing silage bales for grass. And because FS17, you could buy fields in it, but it didn't have the rest of the land was just fair game. I mean, nobody owned it. You could go mow whatever you wanted, really, as long as it wasn't part of a field. So this used to be a common task in FS17, going around mowing stuff. We'd mow around all these fields. I'll have to take care of that. Head back down here and finish that up, and then we just have that little square. So I mean, we're doing pretty good. We just need to start really making some money, and I didn't expect to make money from wood chips, but we made a little bit. We certainly didn't make a lot. Get this done, and we'll see how many bales we make. I have no idea. It's been so long since I've played even vanilla FS19 with you know, the normal in-game economy. I don't even know what silage bales are worth. I've been playing with seasons basically since the seasons mod came out, and that completely changes the economy of really the entire game. So I don't even know what silage bales are worth at this point. It will be nice, though, if any of you are familiar with seasons, which I would imagine probably a lot of you are. It will be nice to be able to get our silage bales right away, though. Not have to wait. What is it? A season transition, I think, is how it works in seasons. I usually play 9 days per season, so I end up having to wait about 3 days for my wrapped grass bales to turn into silage bales before I can really do anything with them. And of course, in seasons, wrapped grass bales are worth nothing, so be kind of interesting to be just able to go sell them right away. But that's another good point. We do have to get a wrapper, so in addition to purchasing / leasing, I'm not really sure what we're going to do, a fertilizer tool of some sort, we also have to get a wrapper. And because we just don't have that much money at this point, we may well end up leasing some stuff. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I've talked about it in the stream before. I'm okay with the leasing. A wrapper is probably something that I would actually buy, because I think we will get good use out of it. But if I have to lease it because I just don't have the money, that's okay. One of the things about leasing, especially early in the game, is I don't really intend to have this equipment for all that long. You know, hopefully, if we do halfway decently in this game, in this playthrough, we'll be upgrading our equipment relatively soon. So a lot of this equipment that we're leasing anyway, like we're not going to have it for that long. At least that's my hope. So we'll see what happens. All right, I think we're probably not going to get a full another bale from this, so we will just turn it off. All right, how many bales did we get? I want to see that. We should be able to see in statistics 24. So the 33 total includes the straw bales that we did off of the first field, but 24 is how many grass bales we have done. That is a good amount. Hopefully they're worth, I don't know, what would $1,500? I don't know, what are they worth? They were worth $1,000. That would be pretty nice. I mean, $24,000 would be a good bit of money to inject back into the farm. So that would be nice. Let's go ahead and let's see. I think I'm on the wrong tool here. Go unhook that. Go. We need to turn this mower off, fold it up, take it off too. Go. We probably don't need our lights on yet. All right, into the store. So we need a wrapper, which this guy could do the trick, but he's pretty expensive. I ended up getting the round baler specifically so that we could do the cheaper wrappers. This is $19.5. There's another one in here that's $22. So I don't know of any reason to use this one over the other one. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I honestly have never used this one since buying this pack. So that might be, I don't know, I might do that one just so I can use it. because leasing price $1,100 and past it $900. That's not a huge difference, and I've used this one many times. So I think I'm gonna go with the other one simply because I've never used it before. So that's going to cost us. See, I would really like to get this, but I can't afford to spend $22,000 on the thing. Yeah, we just can't afford to spend that much. Oh, you can get an end turner. I see. So this is going to put the bales out on their side, and with the end turner, it would put them up on their end. Interesting. We don't need that. Silage bales, we'll wrap them black. So we are going to get that. Do we go ahead and do it? I think I'm going to go ahead and do this so that I can then sell it and maybe buy my fertilizer tools, because those we'll use a lot and we don't necessarily need to upgrade. I mean, even if you get this pretty basic early game fertilizer or this one, they both have really good working widths. I mean, 24 meters or 21 meters, that's really good. Even these higher up ones are 36. So they're bigger, but they're not necessarily, huge. The biggest advantage to these is that they have much larger tanks on them. But these will allow us to do a lot of fertilization contract jobs, which are quick, easy, and worth a good amount of money. So I definitely want to purchase these, but they cost $30-something thousand. We're going to have these for a long time. We're going to use them a lot, so we might as well buy them. But we need, $40,000 in the bank before we're really ready to buy that stuff. And I am going to use the Fiat for this, because this seems like a great job for this tractor. We don't really need 200 plus horsepower to pull a bale wrapper. Sorry, give me 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, let's hook up to this guy. And let's go wrapping. There's something, the sort of bale work is, I think, one of my favorite aspects of Farming Simulator, and it's kind of funny to think back, because in 2011 when I started playing this game, playing on the base game Farming Simulator map, you had the barn which you could load bales into, and I think it sold them right away. It wasn't the bale game in that was not nearly as developed as it is in this version of Farming Simulator. But I remember how poor, I guess, here's a good word for it, the bale physics were. It was so difficult to handle bales and to get them to do what you wanted. And in Farming Simulator 13, the story was similar at the beginning of the game. The bales were still difficult to work with, probably the best way to put it. By the end of 13, they had gotten better, but by the end of 13, I was spending most of my time playing with a mod called the More Realistic mod, which completely changed physics, including bale physics. Tractors drove differently, especially with trailers full of stuff, implements and things like that. So it also implemented different bale physics, so it was hard for me to tell how much of the improvement in bales was from the more realistic mod, how much was from the game and Giants. So, but now it's pretty good. I was kind of playing around the other day on a save game, and I was doing a lot of bale stacking. I think I stacked up like 40 something bales with a skid steer, and there are still some things that could use improvements with bales, but you know, as I was doing it, I was thinking back to Farming Simulator 2011, Farming Simulator 2013, and just I couldn't help but think how much of an improvement bales have become. I mean, they are one of my favorite parts of the game. I end up doing round bales a lot because I actually find it quite enjoyable to make the round bales, to stack them, and things like that. So doing all this bale work is no, I find it enjoyable. One thing I do wish, or I guess it maybe shows off one of the limitations of the game in its current form, is the fact that we still cannot have workers do really much of the baling process. So I've heard some things, I've read some things, maybe some hints that with Farming Simulator 22 we're going to have an improved AI system. I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping those aren't just wild rumors, and I'm also hoping, because we've had improved AI workers in like nearly every version of the Farming Simulator that I'm familiar with. Basically every year they come out and they say we improved the AI workers, and it's not untrue. They do improve the AI workers, but I mean, it's like incremental improvements. You know, back in Farming Simulator 2011, AI workers could only do a certain few tasks. I don't think they could even fertilize in that version of the game. So in 2013, you know, they made them able to fertilize. That was like the AI improvement, as well as the big improvement for the AI in that 2011 to 2013 was the fact that the AI aligned themselves with the cardinal directions. So if your fields were rectangular and aligned to the cardinal directions, like they are on this map, the AI workers would you know, get themselves in straight lines. In 2011, the AI workers would take off working in whatever direction the tractor was pointed when you hit higher. And so if you had to rehire a worker in the middle of a field for some reason, it was nearly impossible to get them straight. So in 2013, you know, the AI worker improvement, the big one was the fact that they would snap to the kind of 90-degree directions. All right, hold on. I'm gonna have to pause here for a second. I will be right back. All right, I am back. If you guys are watching this on the playback, hopefully you can just skip that portion. I had to go take care of something real quick. It doesn't take nearly as long to get these bales wrapped as it did to mow and create them all. What's going on? I'm not far enough over to grab this. There we go. This little line of bales here, they're kind of at a weird angle. I think it's not liking that. 1, 2, 3 more. It's a couple along that field. Gotta unload. There we go. Anyway, I'm really hoping that they'll give us a really improved AI system. Something in all the years since 2011, the biggest change came in that 2011 to 2013 kind of new release of the game, when, like I said, the workers started automatically aligning themselves to the cardinal directions. But since then, it's mainly been the workers can do a few new tasks, but they're all variations of driving up and down a predefined field with equipment. You know, fertilizing, mowing. I think they can maybe do raking now. I honestly don't remember. But you know, there's no ability to have workers take grain from your silo and sell it at a sell point. There's still no ability to have workers take grain from the combine and go unload it in your silo, or you know, drive alongside the forage harvester and take the chaff back to the silo bunker. So it's things like that where, you know, and other games have figured these things out. Other games have found ways to make AI that can do it. Even within the Farming Simulator game, Courseplay has been around since at least Farming Simulator 2011, because I remember playing with it back then. And it has found ways to get the worker to do these various tasks that they can't do in the base game. And I'm really hoping that they completely revamp the worker system in this game, because it's needed to happen for so long. The fact that we still, 12 years into the development of Farming Simulator, have the same basic worker that we had in 2011 it's a bit of a letdown, honestly, is what it is. So I'm hoping that some of those hints, some of the images that I've seen that kind of make me think, I'm hoping it's not too much. I'm hoping I'm not reading into it too much or anything like that. I really hope we get a much improved worker system, because that would really, you know, honestly, it would change the game a lot. I don't know if we'll get to that point in this Let's Play, just because I don't know how quickly things are going to move along in this Let's Play. I really don't. Do we send this back? I don't know. I'm not going to send this back yet. I'm kind of wondering if we might be able to get another mowing in before the day is over. We'll see. Because right now there's probably less than half an hour on it, and we've kind of already paid the leasing fees for a full hour and a full day already. So if we could get another mowing in with it before this day is over, and it doesn't go over an hour, which it shouldn't, then we could basically get another whole mowing in with no additional cost, which would be great. Anyway, I think a worker system would change the way that a better worker system would change the way that you play the game. And a couple things come to mind. I mean, when I play the game, and maybe this is just me, maybe I'm the only one who does this, I don't know, but when I play the game, you know, as quote unquote farmer and I'm hiring workers, especially during like harvest or forage harvest, I kind of expect to be the person driving the combine or the forage harvester, right? Like, because this is, it's my farm, it's my equipment. I kind of expect to be the person driving that, and the worker would, in my mind, more likely be the person driving the tractor and trailer and unloading the combine or unloading forage harvester. And so, but that capability doesn't exist in the base game. With course play, you can do a lot of that, and I do. That one of the main ways I use course play actually is to be able to do that, because I don't, it's fine driving the tractor and the trailer. What do we get? Ooh, 1100. So it's not 1500 like maybe I thought, but 1100 is pretty good. So we'll take that. We should get still $24,000 out of this. Driving the tractor and trailer is not bad. I don't mind it, but when that's all you can do during a harvest is drive the tractor and trailer, and you have to put the harvester on a hired worker all the time, it just, number one, it doesn't lead to very much variety. I don't always want to have to drive my trailer. I want to drive the harvesters, right? And the only way you can really do that in the game is then to just go unload the harvester in a trailer. But then you have pieces of equipment like Auger Wagons, which Giants added into the game maybe in 2013. I forget exactly when Auger Wagons came in, but they've been a part of the game now for several years. But they're basically useless in a single player game because, at least, I don't know, around here, farming around here where I live, when you're harvesting grain, the combine's out there working, harvesting grain. The purpose of the auger wagon is really to take the grain from the combine harvester to a trailer of some sort, where then that trailer can transport the grain to wherever it's going to go. The idea being, using that auger wagon to unload the harvester and take the grain to the trailer, it allows the combine harvester, the most expensive piece of equipment on the field, the one that is essentially doing most of the work, it allows it to keep moving constantly. And so from an efficiency standpoint, that's a big deal. You can't do that in single player though, because you have to drive the auger wagon and then take it to a trailer to unload, but then you also have to drive the trailer that you just unloaded to take the grain somewhere. So it ends up being no point in having the auger wagon. You're better off just driving the trailer, unloading the combine straight into the trailer, and then taking the grain wherever it needs to go. And you can still keep the combine moving all the time. But the auger wagons, which is an entire category of equipment in the game, are essentially useless in single player. You basically have to go to multiplayer for them to become useful, which is a shame. It's a whole category of equipment, and it's really cool. It adds a different element to the gameplay a little bit, at least. I would love to be able to take advantage of that, but we need a much improved worker system in order to be able to do that. So here's hoping that we will see a improved worker system in FS22. Don't take this to mean that I'm saying there's going to be. I know absolutely nothing more than you guys do when it comes to FS22. I've just been watching the videos, watching other people's videos, and all that kind of stuff, and based on some of the things that I've seen, it makes me hope. It's almost like a slight teaser reveal type thing going on, where it's like, wait, did they just show us something there? No one has talked about it, no one has mentioned it, so it could all be nothing. and we could just have the same workers that we had in 2019. But we'll see. We shall see. In about, well, a couple weeks actually, we will see. I'm really excited to try out grape and olive harvesting, or farming, I suppose, the whole process. I think of all the new crops that Giants has added in recent games, it's probably been since they added potatoes to the game that I was actually excited about a new crop addition. Because, you know, at the time, did they add potatoes in 2013 maybe? And I forget, it's hard to imagine. They added forestry in 2015, and if I'm being honest, forestry did not really excite me that much. But, well, to be fair, potatoes didn't excite me that much either, but it was a completely different it was a different harvesting, you know, it was a different farming technique. Up to that point, it was basically all grains, or silage, and potatoes were this kind of new thing. You know, you had to use this completely different harvester for it, and you got tons of them. So logistically, they were, you know, a different challenge, and I thought that was nice as far as new crops go. Like in 19, they added cotton, which, you know, yeah, it's a new crop, but I didn't feel it really brought too much new element to the game. I mean, you have a machine that turns the cotton into bales, which, although they're bigger than normal bales, we've had bales for a while. So the grapes and the olives, you know, it's something completely new. Now you have these vines, lines of vines that you have to work with, and small spacing in between them, and things like that. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see how that goes. Excited to get my hands on some grapes and some olives and kind of do that. I might have to start out a little test farm on I forget what region of Europe it is, the kind of Mediterranean inspired map, and see how grapes and olives work. And of course, I'll probably play a good bit on the American inspired map. I believe it's called Elm Creek, maybe. Of course, I've seen the videos on it, but, you know, recalling the name while I'm sitting here live streaming, yes, that's of course when you're bound to forget. So I think it's called Elm Creek. I'll definitely be playing on that one, being from the U.S. myself, and just to see how that feels, to see if it does really feel like an American map or not, or at least what I think is an American map. I always, when I think American, I always think, of course, of where I live, which is in the Midwest region of the United States. So none of the Giants maps that have come out that were supposed to be US maps have really ever made me feel like I was in the Midwest United States, which that's not a criticism. There are many, the US is a huge country, and there are many varied regions of the US that have different looks and things like that. So it's not a criticism, but I've always had to go to mod maps to get that Midwestern feel. So we'll see. From the footage I've seen, this one looks like it might have more of a Midwestern US feel, but just have to wait to see until the game comes out, or until other YouTubers get access to the game, probably, which is probably the first we'll see, really, of the finalized gameplay, or very, very close to it. Which I don't know when that's going to happen, I've heard from, you know, some of the big YouTubers that they know when it's going to happen, but I haven't heard anybody actually say when that's going to be. I would expect that now that we are, well, I mean, we're coming up on like 2 weeks until release day. I would think that they're going to be getting access to the game pretty soon. You know, would to leave a couple weeks worth of build up as these YouTubers play the game and kind of get people excited about the game. I would expect that there will be a couple weeks of that, would mean that they would start getting access to the game here in, I don't know, a few days, I would think. But maybe I could be wrong. Maybe they'll only do a couple days worth of lead up to it. I have no idea. Whoa, missed. I'm trying to do this 2 at a time to make it go a little bit quicker. But I will tell you, doing this 2 at a time is much easier from first person. But when I'm in first person, I like to turn on my track IR head look setup, because that makes front loading actually really, really good in this game. But it makes for terrible viewing on YouTube when I'm just constantly looking around and the camera's going back and forth all over the place. So when I'm recording, I don't use my track IR setup, which means that I don't really like to be in first person in any type of front loading vehicle, because it becomes very difficult to tell what is going on, get lined up properly. I will tell you guys now, I know not everybody does. I like to play simulation games quite a bit. I only really record Farming Simulator, but I play flight simulators and racing games and things like that. And Track IR is, I think, one of the best investments. It's one of the best purchases, I should say, that I've ever made. I think it changed the way that games feel and play. Especially, you know, it comes in big during Farming Simulator, especially the front loading aspects of it, but also in flight simulators, to be able to basically not take your hands off of your throttle and joystick and be able to look around a lot. It does change the game a lot. So I'm a big advocate for track IR, or, you know, some type of head look head look technology. There are different ones out there. There are ones that don't use track IR style setups. You don't have to have the whole setup. I used that for a while before getting track IR. I used one of them, I should say. I say that like there's only one. I used one of them for a while before getting track IR, and it was adequate. Maybe maybe it wasn't adequate, because I ended up getting track IR anyway. But it kind of did the job. But track IR is much more accurate and consistent. So anyway, you know, just a little, not a plug or anything. I certainly don't make any money off of it. But if you're into games like this, if you're into simulation games, especially flight simulators, or even Farming Simulator, and you like to do a lot of front loading, I would, if you can spare the money, a track IR setup I think is a good purchase. It does make the game much better. Actually, you know, I'll go into first person and I'll turn it on and just kind of show you guys what it's like. The setup is pretty simple. You kind of have a receiver. It's for me, it's mounted up on top of my monitor, and then you have a kind of a headset, I guess. I have a clip that goes on my headphones. So I'll go ahead and turn it on here, and let's go into the first person view. There we go. So I have a kind of a little headset clip thing that I clip onto my headphones, and it has 3 little infrared lights on it that the receiver tracks, basically. Which is why it's called Track IR. And based on how those move, it can, it's basically tracking your head movements, and it can translate that into control of the camera. So all I have to do is kind of look right, look left, and I can control the, essentially the camera in the game. So for front loading, I think you can probably get a good idea just from, oh, come on now. Just from this little bit, how much of a difference it makes. I mean, the ability to just flip around real quick, look behind you while you're backing up, right back to the front. The other thing that it does in Farming Simulator, which I think is a huge deal, is the ability to move your head side to side, or to move the interior camera inside vehicles, side to side, front to back. When you're trying to front load or use front loader tools, the ability to kind of just shift the side a little bit, because you don't have depth perception in a game like this, the ability to move side to side like that, or forwards, backwards, gives you kind of a sense of depth perception, or maybe sort of a poor replacement for depth perception. It allows you to get lined up with these tools a little bit easier. I shouldn't say much easier, a little bit easier. It's still not the same as real life, but it does start to feel a little bit more like that. And it does make a big difference. When you're just driving around, you can just look side to side like this and see what's going on. It really makes the game quite enjoyable. So anyway, if you guys really do enjoy simulation style games, again, especially Farming Simulator or flight simulators, and you have the money that you can spare, Track IR or something similar to it is a really good purchase. I'm going to pick this bale up with it, and then I'll turn it back off and go to first person view. When I do time lapsing, I always have to be really conscious of the fact that I can't do time lapses with first person view and Track IR, because all these little head movements when you're on a time lapse look like awful. You can get like motion sickness trying to watch it. So anyway, those off. I think we only have 2 more. We're up to $53,000 at this point, so we have made a good amount of money selling these bales. What we rented the bale wrapper, that was about $1,000. So what were we down to? We were down to about maybe $26,000. Whoa. So we have made some good money from these bales. I'm glad we did this. And we should have plenty of money now to go buy a fertilizing setup. And now I'm moving my head around like I can move the camera with my head, but I turned my Track IR off, so I can't. I thought there was another bale up here. Does not look like it. Nope. Okay. That's it. Then go drop this one off, and we are done with bales, and we can go buy a fertilizer setup, and we can start fertilizing. And once we get this first stage of fertilizing done, we're basically done with stuff on the farm for the time being. I mean, we basically need our crops to grow to the next stage so we can fertilize them again. Or we need the grass to regrow so we can mow it again. We're going to kind of be in that limbo phase where you're just waiting for stuff to happen before you can do anything again. Which would be a perfect time to go do some contracting. And with our new fertilizer sprayer / spreader, whatever we end up getting, we can go do some fertilizing contracts. And I love doing fertilizing contracts in this game because they're fast and they're almost always worth a lot of money. So let's draw. Actually, you know what? Let's just park this guy. What are we gonna? So I want to go look at a fertilizer spreader. So, I mean, these are still really expensive. $39,000, $67,000. I mean, we could get one of these smaller ones for fertilizer, but they don't hold very much. And they don't spread lime. I find it very, very annoying that these little fertilizer spreaders don't spread lime. And these big ones do. I would love to be able to use those. So these can only do fertilizer, which makes me really want to kind of go with a setup like this, because these can also do herbicide, which is another uh, contracting job that you can get. You got fertilizing, but also spraying will come up where you spray off the weeds. And we could use these for that as well. And both of those jobs are good returns for the time that you invest because of the working widths of these machines. So I think I'm going to go with something like this. I think I'm just going to go with this one. Honestly, I find this one easier to use in general because you only have to hook something up to the back. You don't have to hook something up to the front. Although you're supposed to put a front weight on. We will put a front weight on because I'm right here by it. But normally I don't bother with the front weight for this. The other one actually has a slightly higher capacity if you do the front tank and the rear tank. It has a slightly lower working width, 21 meters versus 24, so it's a little bit lower. But you do end up with a 2,800 liter capacity versus this one, which is 2,200. But the fact that I don't have to go hook up to the front tank every time, for me, makes this one a little bit better. All right, so this is one of the reasons I really love this store delivery mod. It cost me $80 to have it delivered, but I don't have to go all the way to the store to pick up the fertilizer. All right, let's take a look at our fields here. So we got 12, 14, 15, all planted, all growing. They all need plowing, which we're not going to get around to any right now. They all need lime. Wonderful. And they've not been fertilized at all. So yeah, we got some work to do on our fields. And unfold this guy. We'll do some quick spraying. I don't know if we're going to get around to a contract in this stream or not. About 20 more minutes maybe left in this stream before we have to call it quits. Make sure, because I do have crop destruction turned on, I want to make sure that I'm not going to destroy these crops. In the first growth stage, you shouldn't. We're not. All right. Let's turn on cruise control. And then turn on the sprayer. There we go. Oh, we can only... Oh, the sprayer's only goes 7 miles per hour. I forgot about that. Slow. But while we're going down the field here, I might as well... No, this is where GPS would come in really handy, or guidance steering. I could turn that on, get the exact width so I don't have any overlap, but it would also keep me going straight in the field, which is one of the reasons I like it, so that I can then go into the menu system and look at stuff. But if you look at something like field 20, oh, it already switched to harvesting. Field 5, fertilizing, $21,500. Now it's a big field. It's going to take a decent amount of fertilizer, and it's going to take a decent amount of time. But with the 24, I think, meter working width, it doesn't take that long even to do the big fields. And to make $20,000, I mean, that's what we made on those silage bales that we just did. And to get those, we had to mow them, bale them, wrap them, and then pick them up and sell them. So to be able to make $20,000 really pretty quickly from a contract like that is a good deal. So I fertilizer, something to do fertilizer is almost always one of my early game purchases, because it allows you to get into really lucrative contracts early in the game. And early in the game, contracting is honestly one of your best ways to make money. It might not, I don't, it seems, it's not because it's built into the game, but it seems a little cheaty just because you can make so much money from it and you're not even working your own fields. But I mean, it's built into the game, so it's not cheating. But you know, your own fields, to make money off of them, you have to put in a lot of time and effort, and it takes a while for these fields to grow. And even then, I don't know, I don't think you make that much off these fields compared to contracting. Again, it's something that would probably be worth running the numbers. If the contracting system is still in place in Farming Simulator 22, which I think it's going to be, that may be one of the tests that we have to do, is to see, you know, what can you make off of a field farming it on your own, and then what can you make off of a field doing all the contracting jobs on it. It's hard. I could probably run the numbers and sort of figure it out, but when 22 comes out, I think we may just have to run that test. And I think, without running the numbers, I think it's actually more lucrative to do all the contracts on a field for somebody else than to do it for yourself, which doesn't really make sense from a gameplay standpoint, because it basically encourages you not to buy the fields. It encourages you to basically just continue doing contracts for people. So it doesn't really make sense from a gameplay standpoint, which that makes me think maybe I'm wrong, because Giants generally do a really pretty good job of balancing gameplay and rewarding you monetarily, really, for doing the extra work. So if you went through the process of buying a field, I would think that Giants would make it so that that field is now going to bring you more money than it would if you were doing the contracting on the field. But some of the numbers you get from these contracts, it's like, I don't know. I just don't know how you can make that much off of a field. But oh well. I would run the test here in FS19, but you know, 22 is going to be out in a couple weeks, so it feels kind of pointless to run tests on Farming Simulator 19 at this point. It's a little late, so we'll just wait for 22 to come out, and we'll do the test then. I will say there's another aspect of contracts that I really like, and one of the reasons I think they're such a great addition to the game, especially in the way that they work in 19. The fact that you can use your own equipment to do it and make a little bit more money, or you can borrow the equipment to do it. And I said this, I think, in 17 as well. One of the biggest advantages to the contract system is early in the game, it allows you to get into equipment that you otherwise wouldn't get into for quite a while. So, you know, you can use some of the big combine harvesters or some of the big cultivators and tillage equipment, things like that, long before you would ever actually get to use them in the game by buying them yourself. So I like it a lot for that reason. I like it for other reasons as well, but for that reason alone, I think it's a great addition to the game. And when you're sitting here like we are with a couple of old tractors, granted these are relatively powerful tractors, but we don't have any implements to match them. An old combine, you know, and then you look up on the contracting board and you see, oh, I could do this job, and I get to use the Fendt Ideal combine. You know, that's one of the best combines in the game. You know, that makes it kind of fun. Like, maybe I'll take this job and borrow the equipment just so I can use that combine, and I'm gonna make some money while I'm doing it too, which is good. So that's pretty cool. In 17, even though the contracting system worked a little bit differently, the fact that you still got to use more advanced equipment than you would be able to access in the early game was really cool. Now with 19, the way the game works, the fact that you can kind of start your own game and you can sort of start it how you want to, that's a little different, because if you go on, which mode is it? The middle of the modes, I don't remember what it is called. Farm Manager, maybe. You know, you have net worth $1 million to start with. So with that, you can actually buy some of that really nice equipment, really big equipment, basically right off the bat, and then use it to do contracts, and you can make a bunch of money. But that, I love the fact that 19 starts this way. You know, basically in every version of the game prior to this, you started with a farm that was given to you and some starting equipment. You know, just like if you choose new farmer mode in 19, you know, you have a starting farm with a field or a couple fields. It's been a few fields since 15, but going back to Farming Simulator 2013, you only got one field to start with, which was rough. You know, you started in those games, you started with a farm and with some equipment and a little bit of money, like a little bit of money, and you basically then had to build from there. This new way of doing it I really like, because it lets you kind of start the game how you want to start the game. You know, in those previous versions, you could work into what you wanted to do. Let's, like, say if you wanted to do animals, you wanted to do cows. Well, you know, to do cows well, you have to have haymaking equipment and silage equipment. So you could build up to that, but it took time, you know, because you had to make money to be able to buy that equipment. In the meantime, you basically had to do the same thing pretty much all the time to make the money. You had to farm what little bit of land you had, and things like that. But with the system in 19, you know, if you want to get into animals right away, you can. You might have to get into animals with some pretty basic equipment, but that's fine. You can start right off the bat with a cattle pen, you know, and some basic haymaking equipment, and there you go. You know, you're set to do cows from the start of the game if that's what you want to do. Or you just want to do arable crops. You know, you can go into a tractor and a harvester and things like that. So it is really cool. I really like this new system in 19 of being able to start the game, and I would imagine that's going to carry over into 22, because Giants historically, they don't tend to go backwards. When they bring out a new feature in a game, it tends to carry over into the next version of the game as well. So, you know, you would think that we're going to see a similar starting system in 22, where you'll have a few different levels you can choose from. One that'll start you off with some stuff already, and a couple where you start with nothing and you can kind of build your farm from scratch. Used almost half of the fertilizer we purchased already. That's quite a bit, but we are just about done with these fields. Take a look. Yep, there we go. And we only have 2 stages of fertilization to do. I think because we're playing on the easy mode, I'm used to having 3 stages of fertilization to do, so I'm assuming that easy mode is what does that, but I don't really know. There we go. We got 10 minutes left in the stream. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fertilizing contract. I said I wanted to get into contracting. I really do. There are so many harvesting contracts. I love harvesting contracts, honestly. It's one of my favorite things to do in this game is drive the combine harvesters. So I love doing harvesting contracts, and look at all these fields that need harvested. Man, we could get some really good harvesting contracts going, which is something we probably will do. But right now, I have the setup to do fertilizing, so I think I want to do some fertilizing contracts. And most of these are pretty low return, so I'm probably not going to mess with any of those, but I think I will do this one fertilizing job on the biggest field on this map, field number 5. Look at that. It's huge. So, so we're going to go do that, and I will show you guys. Now, you might consider it a little cheaty. I'll forewarn you on this right now. You might consider it a little cheaty, but this, with the store deliveries mod, this is what I tend to do for these. I tend to go to the field and set my, I guess, spawn point, if you will, for purchases near the field. And then if I need to buy fertilizer, I can do that. I realize that that is not really the way the game is set up to be played in its vanilla form. You are kind of supposed to have to drive to the store to pick that stuff up, which would mean having a trailer, taking the front loader down there, and all that kind of stuff. But as we have discussed in this stream previously, especially on Goldcrest Valley, with the drive to the store, I'm not doing that. It's gonna waste so much time. It's just not worth it to me. I'll pay the extra money to have the fertilizer delivered to the field side, which is actually, to be honest, more realistic. You know, if I were to purchase some fertilizer from a company like this, I could have them deliver it straight to the field side if I wanted to. And if I were running a setup like this, that would probably make the most sense. So we set our spawn point. Now if we go into the store and purchase another fertilizer tank, which we will go ahead and do, it should show up right here in front of us. There we go. Oh, by the way, you see that little pop-up that comes up that says, you know, fill type liquid fertilizer, shows you what it is and owner? That is part of the global company mod. It's actually the entire reason I left the global company mod in my mods folder for this Let's Play. The global company mod does a lot of different things. It adds production capabilities. You can do like bees for honey and lots of other things with it. There's tons. To even get into what it does would take forever. But it also adds that little bit of additional info when you kind of focus on an object. And I really like that. I found it to be quite helpful, especially when you're looking at like bales, for instance. You know, to see, is this a grass bale? Is this a hay bale? Straw bale? Especially if you wrap your bales. Playing Seasons, I've actually gotten into the habit of wrapping hay bales. Because with Seasons, if you leave bales outside, they will rot if they get rained on. So they'll start wasting away, and your 4,000 liters worth of hay now is, you know, 3,800 liters worth of hay, and then the next day it's 3,500 liters worth of hay or something. I don't think it's quite that drastic, but they do start rotting away. So you either have to store them in a shed underneath a roof where they're not going to get rained on, or you wrap them and store them outside. Now typically, you know, in the base game you would only wrap bales to turn them into silage bales, but in Seasons you can wrap hay bales and they won't turn into silage bales. They'll stay hay bales, and then that allows you to store them outside, so you don't have to take up shed space. And a lot of times on mod maps you're starting out, you may not have a lot of shed space. So I got into the habit of wrapping bales, even hay bales, and sometimes even straw, because the same thing will happen. If straw bales get rained on, they start to rot away. Wrap them, you can store them outside. And I would wrap them in different colors of foil. So for me, silage is usually black, which is why you probably saw me out of habit wrap those silage bales in black. So once you wrap them, it can be, if you don't have a system, which, like I said, I do kind of have a color coding system for the foil so that I know what kind of bales they are, but that little additional info there makes it very easy to just look at a bale and see what type of bale it is, and how much is left. One interesting thing I've noticed, I don't know if this is an intended thing or not by Giants. I would have to go back and remove all mods from my mod folder and test it in the true vanilla game, because it's been so long since I've played Farming Simulator without any mods. I don't actually know if it happens in the base game or not, but I've noticed lately that if you take a hay bale and you put it in, let's use the cows as an example. You put a hay bale in the feeding area for the cows, and they take part of it. They don't take the whole thing, which this is really common with Seasons, because Seasons lowers it. Instead of putting 6 days worth of food in a trough, you can only put 2 days worth of food. So, when you take a 4,000 liter hay bale to the cows, they may only take 1,000 liters of it or something. But you pick that hay bale back up, you move it, and you go store it somewhere in your storage area. It actually continues to fill the food trough. It was really weird. I first noticed it on a mod map that I was playing, and I was feeding some sheep. I was playing Seasons, so a couple things came to mind. I thought, well, maybe this only happens with Seasons. Maybe this only happens on this mod map. Maybe there's something weird going on with Seasons, or the mod map is making this happen. So I went to Felsbrunn and tested it. Now, it was, I think I shouldn't say tested it. That's probably the wrong term. I went to Felsbrunn with Seasons still on to see if it was the map, and it did it in Felsbrunn too. So maybe it's Seasons, maybe it's Seasons that does it. But it was kind of interesting. I was feeding my sheep, and I put the hay bale down. The sheep took a very small amount of it, like 500 liters or something. So I had this bale with 3,500 liters left, thinking that in a couple days I'm gonna have to grab it, bring it back to the feeding trough and fill it up. But then I noticed that their food wasn't going down at all. And with Seasons, sheep are really simple. You only feed them grass. With Seasons, grazing is a thing. So if the grass starts growing and there's enough grass in their pen, that grass will actually sort of fill their food trough to simulate grazing. So I also thought, well, maybe this is the grazing, but the grass was still not grown enough to be filling up their trough. And I continued doing it through the winter to make sure, because of course grazing doesn't happen in the winter because the grass is all dead. So what I found, that it was taking the hay from the bale that I had put in the trigger, even though the bale was no longer in the trigger. It was in a shed. I'd put it back in a storage shed, and if you walked over to the bale with this global company mod on, you could see that the liters of hay in the bale had actually gone down, and were going down throughout the day as the sheep continued to eat more and more of the hay and grass. So anyway, it was pretty funny. I thought it was interesting to see that happen, and now I actually am really curious to know if that happens in the base game, or if it's just something that happens with Seasons for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know that I'm curious enough to go do the testing myself. Maybe we'll find out when we do some animals on here if it's something that happens in the base game or not. But it certainly happens, to me at least, with Seasons, even on a base game map. So pretty interesting. It makes it easier to feed animals, especially if you look at like cows, and one of the components you're feeding them is hay or something, or sheep, especially with grass. You're feeding them. If you only have to put the bale there one time, and then it basically continues to use up that bale no matter where you put it until the bale is gone. It's easy. So this is going fairly quickly. I wish we could drive faster. I kind of forgot that sprayers only go 7 miles per hour, but you can see this field will be done pretty quickly, and we'll make a cool $20,000. So this is a good deal for us. I forget if fertilizer spreaders can go any faster. I feel like they can. Maybe you can drive fertilizer spreaders at like 12 miles per hour maybe. But the fertilizer spreaders in this game, the big ones, I don't know what they're working with is. It says 18 meters, but I'm not entirely sure if that's correct or not. You can get the spreading discs or extension arms on there that make the working with go up to 18 meters. I don't know, I just go in here. So these, it says working with at 12 meters, but if you put on the spreading unit, it's 18 meters. But then when I've played with this in game, I feel like it spreads lime at 12 or 18, whatever you have that set to. But I feel like it spreads fertilizer wider. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the smaller fertilizer spreaders actually have wider working widths. Yeah, 24 meters on that one, 24 meters on that one. But their capacities are fairly low compared to the other fertilizer spreaders. I don't know. It might have been a better idea to go with one of those small fertilizer spreaders. It would have been cheaper. And I think you can go faster. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, 12 miles per hour. So we could have gotten through this about twice as fast probably, but oh well. We would not be able to spread herbicide with one of those though. So this is we're gonna have to take some spraying jobs for herbicide. Otherwise, buying this thing did not make any sense really. We will use it on our own fields at some point, I'm sure, to spray herbicide. Luckily, there aren't any weeds showing up at the moment. I don't think we're going to get this field done though before the stream is over, so I might have to just go ahead and end the stream. I'll finish this field up. No, actually, you know what? I won't. I'll just pause it where we're at. I'll finish this field up when we start either the next episode or stream. I don't know. I tried to record an episode of me doing the mowing so that I could time lapse a lot of it, but then I just didn't like how it was going. So I'm not sure if we'll do an episode or we'll just stick with streaming on this one. We'll see. But either way, I'll save this so that we can finish this job whenever we come back, in whatever format we come back on. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy watching this. If you do, like, comment, you can subscribe if you'd like, so you can see when I'm doing some live streaming, and get notifications when new videos come out. And yeah, I think we're all looking forward to the release of Farming Simulator 22, and we'll see how it compares to Farming Simulator 19 here. So until next time, I hope to see you guys later.